I don't want to say that. We've already got 120 minutes. If we don't find a winner, we don't find a winner. I don't want to be sitting here till 11:30 watching a game of football.
All right, West Coast are turning the corner, then their big win against Port, and now we're back to, is West Coast the worst or second worst team this year? I don't understand. G'day everyone, welcome back to the Zero Access Footy Podcast, episode number 11. We've got a lot to look through, including the first draw of the season, some big bags from unexpected players, and, of course, more debacles, including an infamous whiteboard now, which I'm really excited to have a look at. But let's get stuck into the first game that we want to have a look at. We looked at it in our preview game last week, and it delivered. It delivered in a really big way this time around. Collingwood versus Hawthorn. I'm pretty sure I had said Collingwood will find a way, and they damn nearly did, except for the second time this year, they have given up an after the siren shot at goal. It hasn't cost them one time. It cost them 4 points this time round, but
cost them 2 points.
Cost them 2 points. They got their first draw of the season. It has shown up in one of the biggest stages that we've seen so far this year. I think last year the first draw was North versus Brisbane in Tasmania. So very opposite, very opposite side of the spectrum to include the stage that it's set on. But this game looked to be all Collingwood's, and then Hawthorn found a way to stay in it. It was the way that we kind of looked at it was Hawthorn had some sketchy performances, but now this was kind of the accumulation. They damn near should have lost this game. It nearly should have been a loss. So what's your thinking in terms of how this game overall went?
And you can say one team should have lost, the other team should have won, but like it was just such a good game where it felt like Hawthorn was so much more. Collingwood were a lot more clinical than Hawthorn, and you can look at like the stats, and the inside 50s were a huge key differential in this. Hawthorn had 62 inside 50s. Their average was 57. Collingwood had 34. Their average was 51.
So off that, you feel like it goes one way. But Collingwood held the lead for most of this game, did they not?
They did. They were very impressive. Their efficiency inside 50 was extremely impressive, and it's something that we saw a lot of in the back half of last year, where they were just able to be so efficient inside 50. They didn't matter how many they got or the quality of them. They were just so efficient, and this week was the exact same. Something that was really bad was the centre square bounce numbers. Collingwood dominated the first quarter, which is how they were able to hold on to the lead sort of throughout. But Hawthorn from that, I think, won 16-5 or something ridiculous. And they were just unable to really get genuine like ball winners in front of the game for them. Like Jack Gunston was very quiet this week, which he normally isn't. And like Mitch Lewis didn't have a great game. Karsha Deer wasn't everything. I thought Harry Perriman was really strong on Nick Watson as well in the first half before he did his hammy. And it's just like, how is this game still in Collingwood's favour? And then like you had the free kick inside 50, so the 50 metres late in the last where Cam McKenzie ran off the mark, so still sidebond and kicked a goal, and just like, that's it. Hawthorn have done so much to try to get back in the game. They've dominated possession and they just haven't quite. That's it. And then Darcy Moore does most Darcy Moore thing ever. Dropped the mark because Braden Maynard tried to spoil it, took it out late, and then he gives away a high contact free.
Yeah, it was just like, it looked familiar to the Carlton one.
Yeah.
It's so unnecessary, right? Josh Dacos got off really lucky on that night that Taylor Byrne had missed, but yeah, Dylan Moore is not the player to give up an opportunity like that.
No.
There's some players I want to point out. I think the best player for this game was Connor McDonald, personally. I know Nick Dacos did his usual Nick Dacos thing, but McDonald is showing why they still have a lot of hope into what he could potentially become, because 3 goals, damn near 30 disposals, really, really good game overall from him. You had mentioned that Nick Watson was pretty quiet. I think he's been quiet a few games. He's still getting effective on the scoreboard, so at least he's still doing, I guess, what his floor is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's at his floor, which is 2 goals, not all that much involvement in the play, but at least he's being effective. We just know now, though, what Nick Watson's best looks like. Mitch Lewis did okay, I think, considering I was worried about where his spot on the team was. For him to come out with 2 goals in a game like this, I think is pretty good in a real arm wrestle. But yeah, your Karsha Deer is probably the one I'm the most concerned about. A goal, 9 disposals, felt fairly ineffective. I think if he had shown up a bit more, including like Jack Gunston you had mentioned too, what, did he kick a goal this game? I don't remember him kicking a goal. Yeah, no goals this game. I think those forwards, when they're usually effective, Hawthorn would have this game, especially with the amount of inside 50s they had. It's just Collingwood found a way. Their defense held out as much as they possibly could and were effective going inside 50.
It's not normal to say that. It's just not. I think that's the most simple thing to do. Like 15 goals from 34 inside 50s.
It's just a really solid output. It's very unlikely. 15 goals, 3-2. Effective and accurate kicking in front of goal. This was just a very un-Collingwood game, but it's what you expect from a team that has so much experience, has so many top-notch leaders. You just expect this to happen. And this was without Scott Pendlebury coming off the week he had last week. You just think that Collingwood missed out on a chance, and so did Hawthorn. They probably both missed out on the chances that would have put them over the top. So it was no team that outplayed any other at a certain point in the game. They just both missed their main opportunities to get themselves over. But again, that's a way you can always look at every game. You can always look at it as small margins, where are the errors that are causing an extra 6 points here, a loss of 6 points there. So, look, before we get too nitpicky, I just want to say on the same wavelength you were at, just a fantastic game to watch. You love close games, especially on a Thursday night to set the weekend up. It's so good when games can be as tightly contested as this one was. So, as much as it was a bit of a disappointing finish to see a draw, because you never really want to see a draw as a neutral, it was just a really, really good contest. And I guess what surprised me, the most about this game was to see, the effectiveness come out of the players you didn't expect it to. I think Connor McDonald best described that. And so, just overall a fantastic game to watch.
Yeah.
Speaking of fantastic games, Showdown kicks in.
Arguably none better.
I was kind of nervous not putting this in our rundown last week for our lookout games because of it potentially being a romp on either side. We got the exact opposite of that.
We did. Both teams would love to play in this game. They love to step up, and we got it wrong. I think that's the first thing to say. We got it wrong. We should have had it probably as the number one game by the looks of things.
It always happens, doesn't it? Showdown finds ways. It's just all over the place. It ended in a fantastic... I was talking about how draws are always the way you don't want it to end. A goal damn near after the siren, a goal to win it, to pinch it in the last 10 seconds. That is the exact way that you love seeing games go down as a neutral. So Adelaide take this one by a single point. It's just such a showdown thing to happen.
Showdown things to happen is, I think, the best way to put it. When you consider what happened, not just in the final 30 seconds, but the couple minutes before that, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so give us a rundown as to how that all went down, because unfortunately I wasn't able to see the game. I'd really just seen the final highlight. Let us know how that all went down in your opinion in the moment. Let us know what you're thinking.
So this wasn't I don't have a specific timeline, but a couple minutes left. Ball is sort of hovering around the 70-metre arc from Adelaide's forward 50, and the ball spills out to Wayne Miller. Has a shot on goal within 2 steps, bombs it from 50, makes it easily, but I think it was Rochelle in the end, pushes Logan Evans on the goal line, and the umpire gives a free kick, and it's not a goal. So first of all, robbed right in front of me.
I nearly had another moment.
Genuinely thought, okay, Port are going to kick a goal here, and it's going to go nuts. And so should it have been a free kick? Technically, sure. Have we seen a lot worse, never been paid? Yes. Does this happen 100 times a game? Yes. Is it paid 100 times a game? No. So is it technically a free kick? Sure. Is this ever paid? No. So I think that's complete bullshit on that front. But then from that, ball goes around, Port do good ball movement, get it to essentially 40 metres out directly in front at their ball. Charlie Edwards misses Ollie Wines on one. Thankfully, he isn't able to get the ball. They rethrow it up. Again, Charlie Edwards misses Ollie Wines on the run, and Wines gets it out to Joe Barry. Joe Barry snaps it from 35, running away from goal in a terrific finish with 40 seconds left on the clock to put Port in front, and the crowd were going nuts.
Yeah, this is. They thought that was their showdown moment. That in that moment, it felt like that was the showdown moment. I can't believe it wasn't though.
No, I'm just like, I've got my tip right. I'm so happy.
I always had an inkling that with the trends of the team, like Port had looked a lot more solid compared to Adelaide in their previous games coming in, like Port's game against Hawthorn. I thought about that, but I'm like, Adelaide, I feel like they're the more established, more professional team at the moment. I'm thinking they're going to find a way to keep the game within arm's length. Of course, their game style was always going to be a question as to how that would affect this game. And I think if they didn't play so damn slow all the time, they really could put up big scores. But, I mean, we wouldn't get the game that we got here if it wasn't for that. So I guess thank you for sticking to your guns, I guess.
Yeah, and then ball gets thrown up. I think there was a free kick to Rankin at the back of the stoppage. Ball goes forward. Couple of handballs. Port get everyone back, and they just don't leave anyone else at the stoppage to sort of defend. So it's an easy handball out to Braden Cook, and what a finish.
Yeah.
What a finish.
The absolute guts to nail something like that 40, 35 metres out. Again, I cannot believe that Joe Berry's goal was not the Showtime moment in this one. Because it just, it was so much more difficult than Daniel Motlop. Do you remember Daniel Motlop's?
Stephen Motlop's or Daniel?
Sorry.
Stephen Motlop?
Stephen Motlop.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know why I always get them confused. Either way, that goal back in the day, that's always my go-to thought at the moment for Showdown. And it was going to be Joe Berry's. That goal there, I was like, that is ridiculous. It is such a nice finish. That's such a good moment to end it on. And then somehow got one-upped by Braden Cook. Yeah, by far, game of the round. So there's storylines you can think about everywhere. Ollie Wines has been a little questionable in terms of his performance over the last, honestly, 2 years. Since the start of 2025, you've always wondered what Wines' place is going to be. He was very good in this one. Of course, you mentioned he was missed a couple of times to really ice this, and it just would have made sense with how good he was. Butters did his usual thing, but Sam Berry is the clear outlier when you look at...
Showdown medal winner.
Yeah, when you look at all of this, 19 tackles, way to put it on the line.
Nuts.
You always knew that Sam Berry had it in him to get a high tackle count. He's always been a very aggressive player. Yes. He's been that in and under.
Yep.
This was that on a whole new level. You can tell a man really enjoys the Showdown. You can tell he loves it. You talked about Wayne Miller. He had another fantastic game. Another one of those games where he puts himself back on your radar for those really effective halfback players. He'll never be one that gets AA consideration, unfortunately, but he's one that you go, okay, I understand why they love Wayne Miller at Adelaide, why they do, because he just seems to find his way to get himself in the big moments every time.
It's Wayne's world, and we're all just living in it.
Shut up. That one hurt me.
What do you mean?
Ben Keys, 3 goals. Nah. Ben Keys has always been on and off for me. In this game, I felt he was more on than off.
Yep. There was also a similar story to sort of the Hawthorn Port game where inside 50 count, 59 to Adelaide, 39 to Port. A big difference, and the ineffectiveness of sort of the Adelaide forwards was a bit difficult. I think Tex went down in this game, or was he down in last week's?
I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm not seeing anything here. He's playing here. He played in this game, so I'm assuming it was early in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was early in this one. Yeah, because I've got here his stats, time on ground, 16%.
Yeah, so did his hammy early, and you could just tell that they were dominating the game sort of in total, but they just didn't have the talent forward of the ball. Thilthorpe struggled early, but then they were just able to find a winner in Cook. So, if you're Adelaide, love it. If you're Port, you're hurting. I think that's fair to say. But as a neutral, you're loving this game.
Absolutely.
That's the best way to describe it.
Yeah. And then I say surprisingly, we move on to the final game we want to have a look at. And I wanted to look at this one because this has a lot of implications for both of these teams, not just now for their whole mantra, but also their end-of-year finishes. Eagles versus Richmond. Eagles looked ready to fly after their win against Port in Adelaide. None of that excitement is anywhere to see anymore. The fact that they have lost this game not only is a shock to the system for a lot of people who are high on West Coast after their first couple of wins, but of course to West Coast themselves. This is a game at their home deck, right? They beat North Melbourne at their home deck, who I say arguably have definitely looked better than Richmond up until this point. You think, all right, West Coast are turning the corner, then their big win against Port, and then you're like, okay, this team is no longer a bottom 4 side, and now we're back to, is West Coast the worst or second worst team this year?
It sucks.
I don't understand. Willem Dersma has opened himself up to be the best player in this side. I'm almost certain of it. I think he's going to have it within the next two years. He's got it. Did you
better
see?
Than Harley?
Did you see his left foot finish in that last quarter?
That was nuts.
To give them a sniff.
Yeah.
I don't see Harley doing that.
Harley did that twice.
Whereabouts?
Not in his left, but in the second quarter, he did two straight from goal.
Okay, so maybe a bit of an overreaction. But, I mean, the finish itself, you can at least see him being in the top 2 of this club in a couple years' time. If not already, because the dude is becoming not just a visual outlier, but a stats outlier as well. He is looking the real deal more and more as the weeks go on. I think he was off this game per se, but 1 goal, 18 disposals. He's getting in and under. He's providing the all-round package even early on.
Yeah, he's hit the scoreboard a lot more than what I would have expected.
Yeah, I think I'm just so high because his skill level and his mannerisms look way more professional than anyone else. They've
translated a lot better than what many people thought they would.
Yeah, very much so. We always knew. We came into the year saying he was going to be an absolute freak, but he's looking like that and more. Waterman had a decent game.
He struggled to really capitalise.
He's got 3 goals, 11 marks, high stats. The on page look at it all makes you think that Waterman had a great game, but. Yeah, he's in the towards the end of the game as well.
I think
his one behind was a miss in the last bit.
He's kicked 15 goals, 22, I think, for the year.
Yeah.
So if that's 25 goals, 10 or whatever it is, it's a big difference.
I think the more damning thing is how they let up 99 points
to a Richmond side that really, really hadn't scored more than 70 points all year, basically.
Exactly. Jonty Fall 3. He's had notable struggles. Seth Campbell 3. He's been good.
How are you letting Noah Bolter kick 3 goals?
Yeah, Noah Bolter.
As their ruckman.
I was going to say, Noah Bolter had a ripper. Noah Bolter was fantastic.
This bloke shouldn't be playing AFL.
Damn near killed someone.
Basically, genuinely bashed someone. And then it's just I'm going to dunk on this team.
Yeah.
It's
the antithesis of the West Coast that we had seen at the very beginning against North and Port Adelaide. It's the complete opposite.
Yeah.
And so it opens up the questions. For Richmond,
yes.
Is this a one-off? That's my first question.
Yeah.
You think it's a one-off?
No. Effort-wise, not really, but I think the result-wise,
here's the thing. The skills are clearly not there yet for Richmond. Mm-hmm. And, of course, Lawler going down does not help their scenario. Yeah. But at the same time, you're right. Effort's there. And I think the effort has mostly been there this year. Again, I expected these guys to do a lot better than they currently have to start. But you take the win. You absolutely do. But, their skill has just been so far off. The ones you hoped would take a step up, like your Jonty Falls, have been struggling all year. They finally got a bit of it in this one, and it's turned into a win. To be fair, if they needed a time to do it, it was against these guys when they're off of 2 100-point losses, low on confidence. Yeah. This was ready for the taking for Richmond, and they delivered. So good on them for taking their chances. But for West Coast, I'm just thinking you hope for their sake that the experienced blokes will be able to tell them, all right, it's a funk, right? We're in a bit of a rut, but we've seen what our best football can do. Let's work on what was good there, find problems, and work them out.
Yeah.
Yeah, this game does not help that at all, though.
Defensively, they're so open. It's just... I feel for Ruben Jimby because he's really sort of broken out as that sort of second or third tall defender, but he's just got nothing behind him. Harry Edwards, they haven't been able to play all year because of a concussion issue, so they're left with Sandy Brock and Tyler Young, 2 players who, sure, Tyler Young's more experienced, but really hasn't had a whole lot of experience at the AFL level. And then Sandy Brock as well, played probably less than 20 games.
Yeah.
He's just left with a whole lot of nothing around him. And Tom Cole, Liam Duggan, they're not really defenders, lockdown defenders anymore. That was 3 years ago.
Yeah, and Tom Cole is just...
He's really struggling.
I feel like he's on the way out of the league, unfortunately, just with the way he's going. Because, I'm doing a lot of looking on paper. I feel like I need to think more back to the game. But Harley Reid, impactful as he has been so far all season. Really he has taken a step up, which is good.
Yeah, struggled in the second half though.
Yeah.
And the ruck position, they're just so devoid of any talent in there, to be honest. Aside from Duff Tytler, who they're essentially playing as more of a 50-50 forward ruck, there's just nothing. Bailey Williams, not trusting him. Matt Flynn, not trusting him. Archer Reid, same position as Duff Tytler. So it's really struggling at the moment.
We'll see how it turns out for both of these sides, for the sake of both of their supporter bases, because or maybe not so much Richmond, only because they've had the three-peat not in the not too recent
10 years ago.
Recent past, right? They had their premiership in 2020 and coming off a three-peat. But at the same time, you hope for both of their fan bases they can continue to see more success.
Yeah.
If we have a quick look around the rest of the league, do we have a quick look around there?
Let's do it.
So first off, we have a look at, sorry, I didn't get this all prepared. I apologise. The Dogs Fremantle game.
This is an interesting one.
Surprisingly good. Dogs are off to a quick start. Yeah. Obviously, they did let that game go. Probably Fremantle's first major slip up, I think, in terms of letting a team get off to a quick start. They've been so solid for four quarters so many times that you thought they would never have a game like this. But lo and behold, Western Bulldogs showed the fight that I think a lot of people thought they didn't have. But yeah, just wasn't enough to get the win.
No.
Some solid performances all round, I think, for Fremantle. Tracy did all right. Luke Jackson,
phenomenal.
Sole ruck has to be now. Mason Cox, I think, actually is a good person to have in this Fremantle side because I think he plays a nice, at least disruptor role in that forward line at least. If he can't take the mark, puts it to ground. He's just doing what he needs to do.
Yeah.
Hayden Young, great.
Phenomenal player.
Great stuff.
He's got the final product. He is. They I'm going to say moved away, but they said, okay, Sarong and Brayshaw can't really go too much to you. Murphy Reid, we're trusting you. Hayden Young, we're trusting you. Shea Bolton, we're trusting you. Matt Johnson, Neil Erasmus, we're putting the trust in you guys, and they got it done.
Yeah, great stuff from Fremantle. Brisbane Lions versus Essendon. Expected. Statistically, Brisbane dominated. Honestly, there's more talking points to that we can go to later.
We will be.
Geelong versus North. We were going to talk about this game more in depth, but I think this just didn't have as many implications as the West Coast Richmond game does.
Had this have stayed close, absolutely would have been. But for you guys to get dominated in the last, what did they kick? 9 goals in the last quarter?
So sad to watch. It was so sad. They just ran out of legs.
Yeah.
And look, I want to say it's the GMHBA ground, but I mean, for 3 quarters, you had it right up there.
That end to the third quarter killed you guys so
100%.
bad.
So poor. It was so poor to watch that last bit.
I'm just I tipped you guys, so I'm like, okay, 3 minutes left, you're within a goal. It's right on here. I checked the score at 3/4 time. They're up by 3 goals.
Yeah. It was really poor.
What happened?
It was backline disposal efficiency. Yeah, they just messed each other up. They couldn't kick to each other. It was really strange. Either way, Carlton versus St Kilda, your boys did what you needed to do.
Absolutely.
How rowdy was it? Just quickly, how rowdy was it?
Them leaving at 3/4 time was very rowdy.
Okay, well, they got their booze in and left, apparently. It's an efficient day for a Carlton supporter.
Practically, yeah.
I know that you guys were a bit stressed about playing Carlton, thinking about how much of a grudge they held, but yeah, they're just unfortunately they're not in the state to be holding grudges against anyone.
The second I saw them have a lead at halftime, I was just like, we're chill, no need to do it. The big boys got it done.
Yep.
Ron Marshall, Tom DeConey, Cooper Sharman all had really good games.
Yeah, good stuff. Sydney versus Melbourne. This is actually kind of the way we expected it to go. Melbourne would kind of give them a sniff, but Sydney would be too good. It's a high-scoring game as well.
I love games like this, but at the same time, it wasn't overly close.
Yeah,
Sydney always felt comfortable.
Just the outlier of Rosas, I think, was the big storyline here.
Jeez,
Massive
big
first half.
Yep.
Just crazy stuff from him. And then Gold Coast GWS. Another close win for Gold Coast against a team that you think, comparing, talent, that Gold Coast would just get over the top of them really easily, but actually ended up being John Noble, who probably stepped up the most in this one. I'm pretty sure he had himself an absolute ripper.
It was very good.
Either way.
Aside from that, just expected win.
Yeah, an expected win, kind of the way that Gold Coast and GWS are trending at the moment. Both were going to be competitive, but Gold Coast would take it. And so that is round number 8 all wrapped up in a nice little bow. So with all that being said, of course, we're going to go have a look at the best segment on that. I think I'm going to accept it now.
No, don't. Yes, you do. Accept it like a good boy.
Don't say that.
So, first instance, Sam Clohsey for the Gold Coast Suns. This tackle on Reece Unwin?
No, Ryan Angwin.
Ryan Angwin. Don't know the two. Been graded as careless conduct, high impact, high contact. For Spotify viewers, listeners, you can look on the screen now to look at exactly what happened. Has pinned both arms, has not provided the duty of care, and there is technically a second dump action.
Has he pinned one arm? Has he pinned
one arm? Doesn't allow him to break free of the second in time.
Okay.
So as you can see, his arm's still by his side, isn't able to protect himself, gets concussed from it, careless, high impact, high contact, 2-match suspension. This is normally graded as a third, but I feel because they have technically seen him lose the arm, just not in time, have taken it away from 3 to 2. I think this is acceptable, but I still would have liked this to be 3 because it's still a dangerous action and you can still see a second act that is forceful enough to keep him to ground and get him concussed. The other one is Paddy Cripps, a chicken wing tackle on
mate,
Hugo
I haven't seen
Garcia.
this since Chris Judd in the same uniform.
So Chris Judd got a 4-week suspension because he dislocated the shoulder of the player he did it on. Someone else got a fine for it somewhat recently, I think. And then also Paddy Cripps did, I think, get a fine for this. Where is it? No, didn't.
Yeah, this one. So I just remember that because, this was a Chris Judd moment that I remember he did this on Lee Adams ages ago, and that got like a lot of heat back then.
Yeah, so he got a $1,000 fine. It's not an action you want to see. It's a bit of a dog move. Good on Sauce for getting into him. Which I feel like you could push for a suspension on this, but it's just like, what are you grading him on? That's the issue because they're so limited to their own 2 systems. They don't have the ability to give this a fine, a suspension. So,
You just hope that other players don't start doing that. You hope the fine is enough to prevent this from happening again because, chicken wings, like Chris Judd's happened, when that happened back in the day, he dislocated Lee Adams' shoulder, I believe it was.
Yeah, so, okay, there is one from 2022. Sam Clohsey got banned for 2 matches for doing it on Jack Ginnivan. So I feel like if that's the case, you can absolutely give a suspension in this, and I'm surprised that they didn't.
Yeah, very interesting indeed. And I guess it was a very, heated game, this one, but a lot on the line for both of these guys in terms of, I guess, their own sort of rivalry. But, it's always a scary look when I see a chicken wing because you just, like, the fear of the arm being pinned and pulled. I don't know why that always gets me.
It's just not a good look. And then the final one we'll talk about is Ben Long giving it to Clayton Oliver, which I thought was pretty funny.
When you showed me this, I was so happy when I saw it.
So they get into a bit of a scuffle, gives a whack to the lower chin, and then rubs his head in it, which is just even better. And then gives another slap.
Again.
So, again, Spotify viewers.
The AFL has been telling people to not do that.
It's brilliant. I think it's honestly hilarious.
It is,
but
at the same time, what is Ben doing?
So he gets 2 fines for this.
He didn't get suspended. That was the big thing. Because, you look at it,
how many
cumulative things could others get suspended for?
So you remember what, was it Wilmot who was rubbing Harrison Petty's head?
It was Paddy Voss.
Paddy Voss doing it, right? He didn't get a suspension in the end, but they said you're no longer allowed to rub heads. It's a high contact free kick. I don't think they gave away a high contact. I think, maybe they gave it as a 50.
Yeah,
but
it could have been.
I thought that was pretty funny. Yeah, just gives him a whack on the head.
Yeah, look, if it wasn't the rub the head thing, it would have been the whack afterwards that gives the 50.
It was pretty funny.
There's a lot of things you could have given a 50 for in this scenario under the new rules. So the dangerous tackle, that's the initial free kick. The contact the first time round, the rub of the head, the contact the second time round, like.
Ben Long's a bit of a nuffy.
Oh, man.
Anyway.
It was funny, though, at least. You can give it that.
Yeah. Now to the second best segment of this podcast.
Yes.
Northies Man of the Week.
Northies Man of the Week?
Yes.
It's Macca's Man of the Week, mate. Come on, you got to go the alliteration. Either way, we're going to have a look at who I believe have been the best players during the week. Of course, there's certain things here and there that will often determine my... Don't change it live, you flog. There's things here and there that will change my opinion as to, the importance of a game. I often like outlier games, so if certain players have good games when often they're not that in the spotlight. So we'll have a look through all of those players. One vote this week. I had to ask you for permission to put this one because I didn't know whether it was just a statistically good game for this bloke or whether he actually was good and you could see him making a real impact on the game. I went Rowan Marshall as my one vote.
3 goals.
Yeah, just
superstar.
Considering how wild his season has started in terms of, where his positioning is supposed to be, how good he may be with Tom DeConing on the team. To see that hopefully gives him a bit of confidence. And considering you guys are probably looking to trade him, I'd imagine so.
Yes, gives
something like
us
this
more
at least
value.
gives, exactly.
Maybe we can get a first and a second round.
Yeah, lucky you guys. Number 2, rank 2 votes. Luke Jackson.
Lukey
Nuke. He actually ended up being really needed in this game. I think if this doesn't tell you that Luke Jackson is their number one ruckman and needs to be there at least 75% of the time, then I don't know what. Like, it unfortunately is just the sake that Sean Darcy's role is well and truly
gone.
Yeah.
Kaput.
It's a bit harsh.
It's in the bin.
He's been a trooper for Fremantle for so long, but not only has his level of output deteriorated over time, but now the rules just are not in his favour. Yep. They're just not. So I think Luke Jackson, despite, Sean Darcy and the whole thing there, Luke Jackson's individual performance, he has become the unicorn that a lot of people expected him to be as his career grew out.
Looking like unders the trade that they ended up paying for him.
Yeah, he has been unbelievable. But, of course, he's only 2 votes. 3 votes goes to probably the most unlikely of scenarios, Malcolm Rosas Jr.
Mr. Junior.
Fantastic. So, of course, he's come across from Gold Coast.
Yes.
As he was pushed out over there. And going to show you that he maybe was not the guy to take out. It's kind of hard because there's a lot of people that you can argue should be in and out of that team. But Rosas never really got the game time. 5 goals in the first half, though, in a game that, scoring was very active, 131, 117. There are a lot of goals kicked. But, yeah, Malcolm Rosas Jr., those 5 goals in the first half, you could see that not only was this his game, but it was proving to be that, he wasn't a talent to be, passed over like Gold Coast kind of thought he would be.
They've had 2 really good acquisitions so far this year in not Charlie Curnow, but Malcolm Rosas Jr. and Jai Sarong.
Yeah, both are doing their roles fantastically well, and they are a key reason as to why Sydney sit on top of the ladder now. So fantastic for them. Of course, we knew that Melbourne were going to throw a fight at them, so good on them for that. Some honourable mentions. I've got Hayden Young. He made some absolutely massive moments that pulled the Dockers back into the game against the Dogs. Sam Berry, of course, he didn't get any votes from me this week, but at the same time, his statistical output was the best of the entire week. Braden Cook, just for the moment.
Fair enough.
And Noah Bolter for his on-field performance. And that is it.
My favourite part of this segment, though, is Macca's Donkey of the Week.
Oh, why
and there is a special one that we may or may not have mentioned that will be talked about later. But
so
it is...
This was... It's not... So the player that I'm mentioning here isn't the donkey, per se, but it's more the reference to the Donkey of the Week. Ben McKay, low confidence. He doesn't have very much confidence, does he? The poor bloke. Goddamn AI. I hate AI.
Producer, can we get all the recent Essendon ones up, please?
Look.
Or the Brad Scott ones.
This was one that was kind of... It's more funny, so I like covering these ones when they're just playing out funny, but clearly someone within Brisbane has made a big mistake. I believe... Yeah. Brisbane have come out and said themselves they're pretty embarrassed by this being leaked.
How could you not be?
Yeah, this was...
No! The Spotify listeners, come up on screen now. Oh, you missed it. No.
Look, they've outright said that this was regrettable. They didn't like this all happened. And I think Chris Fagan was asked about it himself in the post-game press conference. Even Brad Scott was.
Oh, the funniest part of this was Brad Scott was put into the Brisbane Lions Hall of Fame the day later.
Oh, God.
And it was just like, I've been set up here. It was fun. So this was completely overblown, first of all. But I found it really funny that Chris Fagan said it was an illegal action to take the photo when it was public viewing.
Yeah, look.
I'm a bit surprised at that.
It was just untidy. It was just untidy from Brisbane.
Yeah,
and you're right. It is way blown out of proportion in terms of criticism. I think it's just like, because even Brad Scott had mentioned that every single team does something like this.
Yes, I'm sure they would have done the exact same.
Everyone knows that a player has a weakness.
Yeah.
And I think anyone who's been paying attention to Ben McKay knows that he's probably low on confidence. So I think Brisbane just putting that on a whiteboard, sure, it's not nice. I don't think teams are worrying about whether they're being nice in terms of their preparation towards a game.
I don't know if... Because I think the big talking point was this, or at least Caroline Wilson's big talking point was that they put in Bronte, which is Jackson Pry's girlfriend, because he was obviously a former player, and they believe that he's punching above his weight class. I want to know if they do the same thing for when they play the Port Adelaide Power a couple of years ago, and Ivan Soldo was playing.
Yeah, true. True. Look, all I know is for the sake of the Ben McKay one and the sake of the whiteboard.
Even the Carl Langford and Zach Merritt ones being selfish.
It's just untidy. It's not the fact that the whiteboard exists. It's the fact that, like, how did you let that get out?
How did you leave that in front of
because
a completely
it's information.
open window?
It's vital information that you guys need. Because if Essendon finds that, there's a chance that they could, like, obviously Essendon didn't, but, like, say if you had that against Geelong, right? A team that you know could use that as bulletin board material, right? That would be a big mistake because then all of a sudden Geelong knows what you're pointing out. So all of a sudden, say if Ben McKay is playing for Geelong, he's coming out as confident as ever. Everyone's getting around him. Everyone's pushing his confidence up. Yeah. It's like, all right, they've clearly made a point that this is now a scheduled point, a scheduled mark.
Yeah.
So it's a donkey of the week, not on Ben McKay, not on Jackson Pryor, not any of the blokes who had anything talked about. It is on probably the Brisbane Lions.
On the Lions,
more the person who took the photo and sent it out.
No.
Why the hell would you do that?
Why would it? If I'm a fan and I go
if you're a fan, was it a fan who did it?
Yeah, it was a fan.
Okay, so it's Brisbane Lions for being
Essendon
untidy.
fan.
Yeah.
It was an Essendon fan.
Okay,
If I'm a fan,
I completely understand why an Essendon fan
I go
would do it.
somewhere, I see a club board that has all the strength and I'm taking a photo and I'm posting that everywhere.
Yeah, because I think it's happened in other sports as well, where you've seen like their scouting reports have been like dropped off at a doorstep
in
for another coach.
In soccer, goalkeepers have a penalty list where they've got like history. That always gets leaked. Doesn't matter. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
It's not wrong.
It's not wrong at all.
Unfortunate. So
yeah, but it's just because this doesn't happen very often in the AFL that it made a bit more news than it usually does. So let's go ahead and talk about our big picture question for the week. And so to start this off, of course, the week we started that is unbelievable, by the way, that bringer. Stops your self-advertising, all right? Give it up, producer. Look, the big picture question is extra time. Is there an argument to be made that if a game is drawn, we go into extra time? I was questionable about this being a bit of a topic because I think we're both kind of on the same page. So I wanted to explore if the AFL were to jump into an extra time for the regular season, because we know that extra time is a thing for the finals, because if we had to replay a qualifying final, I think I'd have a meltdown. But yeah, this is more a question of what would extra time look like in the AFL during the regular season? Because I think, we're both under the idea, should it be a thing?
No.
I like the way that
it's a very strong no. Because I don't care if we see an extra 10 minutes of football, like what the current rule is for the finals. I don't want to say that. We've already got 120 minutes. If we don't find a winner, we don't find a winner. We've specifically got the 2 points added for a specific reason to show that you get that. Because it very well could be a draw after the initial extra time. I don't want to be sitting here till 11:30 watching a game of football. I simply don't.
Yeah, I think because the draw is so unique for the AFL specifically. A draw only happens once or twice every year.
Yeah.
At the moment, it seems to be at least. Because it's so rare, the idea of it happening and then muddling up the ladder positions based off of this single draw, you basically create an outlier team. Like Brisbane last year was always like, all right, so you've got all these teams you're fighting for, and Brisbane, who are technically 2 points ahead of everyone.
Or 2 points behind.
And then it creates that whole scenario. There's people who have a problem with that and would like to see that whole, worrying about a draw on top of all that completely taken out. I'm on the opposite end. I love that it creates the storyline of, all right,
100%.
Because you couldn't get those 4 points, now your season is tied on the edge of, all right, screw percentage. You need to win. It's either 4 points or 0 points for the rest of the year. From that, I know there's been times where teams have drawn twice, sometimes
did
2
it
in a row.
Years ago.
Yeah, exactly right. So, you think about that and it evens them back out again. But then it adds the storyline of, they've missed out on these opportunities to put themselves further in front. It creates the extra attention and importance to the wins. And I think that's really important for the draws.
And I want to touch on what you said as well. If a team like Collingwood or Hawthorn now, in the end of the season and they're 2 points ahead of the final spot, they're like, okay, we still need to win this because if we lose, we're not guaranteed a spot. It creates a team that could either do really well because of the draw or lose out because of the draw. And I think that makes the game mean even more than what it would have if we just have a winner.
Yeah.
Because it makes that more excitement. I think a couple of years ago we had it where Carlton and Fremantle and Collingwood were all in a draw to make the 8, and it was because a specific team had a draw that they weren't able to make it. I think it might have been Collingwood because they had the 2 draws. They missed out because they weren't able to win in a game that they should have.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing. I don't think that's a bad thing.
Extra time as well opens up a whole other bunch of things.
Yeah.
You're forcing blokes to run on tired legs.
Yeah.
Injuries are potentially higher. It also is like when you hit extra time, it's basically an extra game too, because the way that they do it in finals is they do extra halves.
Yeah.
So they do an extra half 1 and extra half 2. It doesn't matter if it's a draw after the extra half 1 or if it's if the win has been decided after 1 half.
Yeah.
They play the second half too.
And that's what I was going to say. If they do introduce it, how would you want to do it? Would you want them to keep it the same as what they've got for the final system, where it's 2 halves of 5 minutes extra? Or do you want to see something like potentially a golden goal?
That was the one I wanted to bring up because golden goal, I don't know. It sounds fun in my head, but at the same time, imagine all that preparation and a team wins the ball out of the middle 20 seconds in and game over like that off of one play.
Yeah.
Something about that feels off for an entire game to be decided off one good play of footy when a game of footy is a game of mistakes. Mm-hmm. You often win and lose games based off of those mistakes. I don't know. It's a tough one to answer. I think it'd stick to a more traditional, time-limited game mode. But at the same time, that would mean that the game is basically going for an extra 30 minutes of playing time. And I don't like that an extra quarter is being played, the potential risks of losing out on play. Again, the draw itself is something exciting for the regular season. Of course, none of this discussion about excitement matters when finals come around, hence why we have the extra time in finals. But yeah, I think the draw creates that uniqueness for the ladder positioning and for discussion in the future. I think the debate shouldn't be about whether it should happen or not. It should be, if it were to happen, what should it look like?
Yeah, but we're both staunchly in the no.
Exactly right. So hence why the discussion comes up a little bit every time because some people just think the draw is stupid. I like it. I think it adds a little bit more excitement.
Agreed.
It's a quirk that doesn't, muddle up the game on the field. Sure, it muddles up the whole, up the ladder talk. But yeah, I think this discussion needs to be something that only comes up if for some reason the draws become controversial, which I just don't think they will be.
Neither.
Let's go to the top 3 games of round number 9, though. We are getting so damn close to the double-digit mark. It's actually concerning. I can't believe we've gotten this far this quickly. But the first one we're going to look at, this is going to be the 100% best matchup, I reckon, of the week. Dockers versus the Hawks.
I'm really excited for this one. Almost top of the table clash.
Yeah,
second
2v3
versus third.
Yeah, so the Dockers looked a little concerning, I guess, against the Dogs. A depleted dog side. They nearly lost that one. And then, obviously, the Hawks with the draw against Collingwood. Who's going to step up the most? I believe this is at Optus.
It is. It's a Fremantle home game.
Yeah, so you'd imagine that the Fremantle crowd will be rowdy for this one. This is going to be a really, really fun game to be a part of. 7 wins in a row for the Dockers. Yeah.
They're on fire.
Yeah, so this is one that I don't think they'll hit the top of the table if they do win because Sydney have North next. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, Fremantle, you need to show the consistency that you've shown outside of that Dogs game. Really, is what it is. I think the Dogs and the Cats have been their worst games so far, even though that Carlton game, you could argue, considering how close it was, is in with amongst them too. I think Carlton played with a lot of heart in that one. Fremantle, you very much need this one. I think I want to ride the Fremantle train here because I think I mentioned it in the Power Rankings video. I want these guys to be good. They have the talent on the list to be really dominant, but they just don't have the experience, like the finals experience, nor the leadership you'd imagine. I think Alex Pearce is very heavily underrated in terms of his leadership quality. But often when you think of Fremantle, who are your go-to leaders? You think in your Brayshaws, your Sarongs, those guys who are getting the ball and leading by example. And even in the back line, you've got the likes of Brennan Cox, who I wouldn't say necessarily comes out as a leader, but Luke Ryan has been a stalwart of that back line for a very long time. Jordan Clark's been getting AA positions on that back line. Alex Pearce, I think yeah, like I said, while heavily underrated, I would love to see this be a game where he steps up in a big way. How good would that be? With such a good Hawks backline, Alex Pearce is the one who stands out the most in the back.
Yeah, I don't want it to happen. I've got my grievances with Alex Pearce. I'll keep it at that. I think, the back line of the Dockers, I think, is good enough to be able to stand up to this Hawks forward line. I think the midfield, though, is a big thing for the Dockers because Luke Jackson's going to be coming up against Reeves and Meek, and that's a really big proposition. Look, Sean Darcy won't be back, so it's still going to be him and the Cox. But
Don't say that. Don't call him the Cox.
I think Fremantle's midfield is a lot more damaging than the Hawks, and I just think that gives them a big edge on top of them having a 2-goal advantage from being at home.
Yeah, look, I don't know how much to like say that because Hawthorn's midfield is either on or off for me. They either like really outclass a solid midfield, or they play down to a poorer midfield. Like, I'm trying to think of midfields that they obviously got out. I feel like the midfield got outclassed by Collingwood's midfield last week.
Heavily.
You think they played better?
They won centre clearances 19-5.
There you go. Yeah, so probably in that scenario they were actually outplayed. So I guess it kind of comes back to my point against midfields that they that have a decent look. You know, starting with Nick Dacos is a fantastic place to start for Collingwood, and they still outplayed it. Despite there no being like real outright, I mean, John Newcomb's debatable. You could say that John Newcomb is a standout superstar player. I'm just thinking, is Hawthorn's midfield as bad or as good as we think? I think they are just a very inconsistent midfield.
And that's why I'm leaning Fremantle. I'm going Dockers by 24.
I think I'm going to go, I want to go Dockers as well. I'm going to go Dockers by 20.
Yeah, it sort of does lean that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, they feel just I don't want to say class above, but they look like they have the tools. Suns versus Saints. This is going to be an interesting one. The Flanders battle. Ned Flanders battle.
Mr. Ned Flanders. It's up in Darwin this time.
Oh, you got sucked into the Darwin game.
We did, disappointingly.
You're in probably their best ground.
Yes, they are undefeated up in Darwin. We are travelling again, which is always fun to see. Coming off a good win against Carlton, they're coming off a decent win against the Giants. Nothing impressive, really, from either side. Really, that indicates me either way based off direct form. But I think you can consider the fact that the Suns are that talented and the Saints are sort of just going at the moment.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think there's an opportunity for you to pick them off. Gold Coast
Agreed.
have shown opportunities for teams to take them.
Absolutely going to agree. But at the same time, our forward line looks really impressive at the moment, still without Max King. But there's not going to be Jack Higgins back. He did have a concussion in training, which is really unfortunate because had he have played, I would have been very likely to have tipped us. Bias aside, if Liam Ryan comes back, still really good because now Liam Henry's in form. So
I was going to say
really
Liam
impressive.
Henry had a good one, didn't he?
Yeah, but for the Suns, they were just. I don't think their forward line will have another poor week. I think they'll be able to get over the top of us. Ben King specifically, Dougal Howard is going to get eaten up. Like it is not going to be close if they give him good service. So I just think their tall forwards.
Are you kind of wishing Ben Long got suspended?
No, but I do think he'll probably concuss someone. Like if I'm being 100%,
make sure Clayton Oliver is not playing in this game.
I'm looking at Liam Stocker if he plays, and I'm looking at Ben Long, and I'm just like, someone's dying.
Someone is not making it out alive of this game.
No.
I think I'm going to go for this one. Yeah, I'm going to go Gold Coast. It's very hard to tip against them in this scenario. Gold Coast by 5. Screw it. I hope it's really close.
Yeah, I'm going the Suns by 12. I just think they're up there. It's really hard to tip against them.
Yeah, it is. But I think you guys, if you can get another good performance out of Rowan Marshall as well, that would be really
true.
helpful.
Yep.
Last game, we're going to go MCG. This is the record breaker.
No.
Record
equaliser.
Should I say. 433 games for Scott Pendlebury at the MCG, because of course it is. They wouldn't allow this to happen anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
I think what'll end up happening is either the Pies spark some magic out of it, or they spend so much time celebrating Scott Pendlebury they forget to come out on the field. I genuinely think this is either a Geelong smashing or a Collingwood pinch.
Do they normally wear black or white numbers on the back, Collingwood? Do you know?
White, I believe.
Okay, because they're obviously doing the gold number for this one. Do they do a silver one for the tyre.
I don't know. Who cares that much?
Okay. Well, about the game.
Are they doing the gold number, though, for his record
For his record breaker.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't make them play North for it, the Flogs.
They've got West Coast. I think that's easier for them.
Yeah. If they lose that game, they have to take away 100 games.
Oh, could you imagine West Coast? Okay, that's for next week anyway, or 2 weeks' time. This game is really interesting. I cannot pick a winner yet.
Well, like I said, it's either going to be Geelong thump them because they're too busy celebrating the tie, or it's going to be like a magical moment. Because I mean, I think last time these guys played, Jack Crisp's 250 or like record for most consecutive games.
Yep.
He got it after the siren, damn
Yep.
near for a miracle game,
Yep.
miracle winner. Yeah, it's going to be something like that, or it's going to be Geelong thumping. I don't know where to lean.
I'm leaning towards a nail biter simply because of what you said last year, how these teams sort of play. I think it's going to be very similar. Who the hell is going to stop Jeremy Cameron? No idea. But it's also a really weak Geelong backline versus a really weak Collingwood forward line as well.
Yeah.
I'm lost for words as to how to describe this game. I just don't know where it's going to go.
You know what? I'm going the magic moment. We're going Collingwood by 2 points. Scott Pendlebury kicks a point after the siren.
Just a point, so they're already up by one. And
yeah,
he just
exactly.
Kicks
He's got the ball in his hands, and he just he kicks it into the post from 10 meters out. The old man bones kick in. Does his Achilles.
Don't say that.
Boomer Harvey has a discovered one game.
Don't say that.
To put him to 434. And he punch blokes in the mouth and things like that.
I think I'm going Geelong.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Geelong by 11.
Oh, look at these nice little graphics. We've got a new person. All right. I'm sure they feel real special
Like
about
that.
this.
Shaz still on one.
Yes, he's still
first.
number one. Footy Pirate still up there at number 2. Finbra, number 3. JP92 has found themselves in.
Yeah.
Is that just up or is that so they were 5th?
Up
Yeah,
from
okay,
5.
beautiful.
Okay.
So up from 5. An MB Sports fan is now at 5.
New man.
They are new to the top 5 with an 8-point round. So really good stuff there.
Yep.
I think, everyone in the top 5 had the same amount of tips. So it's all based on margin at the moment. There's going to be there's going to be players who pick a few out here and there.
Let's go through the other games.
Yes.
We've got Brisbane versus Carlton as the first of the Friday night doubleheaders.
I'm going to go Brisbane by 50.
Jesus. Carlton to lead at half-time at Brisbane by 35.
Fair. And you know what? Same parameters for me. Carlton lead at half-time, lose by 50.
Yep. Port versus the Western Bulldogs in Adelaide. Really weird game to tip.
I got to go Port because the Dogs only just picked off Adelaide at their home deck. And considering the Dogs are much heavily defeated in terms of numbers, and Port are coming off some decent form, I think Port are going to take this one by 19 points.
I'm going the Western Bulldogs in this one. I think they've now got Tim English back, and I think they're going to sort of slowly start to get moving again. I'm going the Western Bulldogs by 19 as well.
Okay. Oh,
Your boys versus the top of the ladder.
I've seen Sydney have some stinkers at Marvel before. I don't know. I hope that they've said they're very hungry for a scalp. I'm gonna go. I still got to go Sydney though.
Good.
Talent's too good.
Yep.
Sydney by 30.
No, Swans by 22.
Okay.
They've just got too good of a ball movement for your backline. GWS versus Essendon.
I'm gonna go GWS by 23.
I'm never tipping Essendon, as I said. GWS by 41.
GWS by 200.
Melbourne versus West Coast in what should be a demolishing for a team that is situated just outside the top 4 versus a team that is getting whacked by 100 every other week.
Melbourne by 99. Just to really make West Coast feel bad.
Melbourne by 33. Surprise upset though, West Coast might win.
They'd find a way, wouldn't they?
It's another
Melbourne
game
have lost
Melbourne
to Essendon before. Yeah, you could see it happening for sure.
And then in the final game of the round, Richmond versus Adelaide.
Richmond versus Adelaide. I'm going Adelaide. It's at the MCG. I don't think that matters too much though.
No.
Look, if Richmond finds a form, it could be close, but I'm going to go Adelaide by 35.
Yeah, I'm sort of similar. Adelaide by 30.
Yep. All right. That is everything. So, with that all being said, we appreciate all you guys once again for tuning in to another episode of Zero Access Footy. We hope that you guys have a good weekend. Enjoy your footy once again. Be sure, of course, to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Follow us on all other platforms. And for Spotify, be sure to leave a comment. Let us know what you thought over there. I want to see some activity in the Spotify comments. It would be great to see. But other than that, cheers to you guys. Appreciate you all very much. And I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers.
Peace.